Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing my toxic therapy story. So when I was about 14, 15, 16, I had a therapist who really made my mental health worse. This was during the time where I was going through a sextortion case. I have made a lot of videos on my sextortion experience as a victim, and you can go check those videos out on my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the therapist who created more issues during my victimizations and was also one of the reasons why I didn't get justice as soon as I could have. So currently I'm getting my master's in social work. I go to FAU, Florida Atlantic University, and I am working very hard to be able to have a degree where I can help other people who experience things such as sexual assault and sextortion and all of these other horrible crimes. So with that being said, I have experienced people who are in the social work community who have not treated me with the utmost respect, and as a result of that, it's made me very aware as a student of things that I would like to put in place as a social worker later in my career that I did not get to experience. My therapist definitely had compassion fatigue and burnout, which are very common in the social work field because it is extremely exhausting. You hear horrible stories all day long and it can be very traumatizing. Compassion fatigue is basically when you are trying to give so much support to people all day long to the point where you aren't able to give that anymore because you've just given your all and your compassion kind of falters. Burnout is a feeling of absolute shutdown. Like, you cannot do this work any longer because you have continuously been taking care of other people but have not been taking care of yourself. And so I think those were things that my therapist at this time was going through. Now, I would like to say I have had many amazing therapists who have been extremely helpful in my healing journey. This is the one therapist that was not. She re-traumatized me with stories of her other clients and their confidential victimizations, and would give me details about that, which obviously is a violation of many codes of conduct for social work as well as the therapy doctor's office that she was working through. So, why am I telling this story? I want to tell this story to remind other people who've experienced horrible therapists that they're not alone. And while there are some bad seeds out there, a lot of therapists are extremely helpful, and you can find people who will lift you up and build you up rather than just tear you down session after session. So this is the therapist that I disclosed my childhood sexual abuse to. I made a video about this, I will link it. As a terrified abuse survivor at this point in my life, when I was just 15, 14 years old, I shared my victimization with her. And instead of being very supportive, she instead was telling me that what I experienced was not abuse because I was not telling her the full story. A lot of victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault often will share snips of details of what happened to them to figure out if they can trust this person with more information. So what I did is I began with explaining that my grandmother and her ex-boyfriend had tickled me and made me feel uncomfortable. And that was my way to introduce to her to see if I was comfortable sharing more or not about my victimization. And at first she was receptive, and then she explained to me that tickling was not abuse. And so then I began to disclose a little bit more, and but was still very reluctant to explain to her that I had been digitally penetrated, and among other things, which digital penetration is the use of a finger. And instead of supporting me through my retelling of my victimization, she instead discredited my abuse, explained to me that what I was disclosing was not sexual abuse, while I knew it was, but she was able to convince me that what I experienced was not as severe as I had thought it was in my own head at this time. And so along with that, she began to describe victimizations of other clients that she's had. And with doing that, she not only re-traumatized me, but also made me cry and made me feel as though what I had experienced was not abuse, and made me feel like I could not share more of the information about my story so that she would understand that it very much was sexual abuse. And that was one of my first disclosures. So to have someone be that awful to me after disclosing was just such a blow. And while she had me bring in my mother and had me tell my mom, she did not go forward and report the abuse that I had experienced, which all therapists are mandatory reporters. And as a mandatory reporter, it is your duty to go forth and report instances of abuse that you hear from clients for safety reasons. For a long time after that, I kind of shut down through further therapist sessions, didn't talk as much, didn't share as many things. One day, I was crying in the therapist waiting area, and my therapist came to get me, brought me in, asked me what was wrong, and at this point I just had gotten a severe threat by my sextortion perpetrator, and I shared it with her because I didn't know where else to go. I was too ashamed to talk to my parents about it. I have a video about what sextortion is, so definitely look at that. I will link that to this video so that you can go and watch it. I also have a lot of other videos about sextortion as well, so definitely go check those out, along with like my story of sextortion. And I shared with her this DM that I had gotten through Instagram that was extremely threatening, and she had me block this person yet again, which only ever made my sextortion experience worse. But that would be the last time that I blocked him, because she then convinced me to stop all contact, which was terrifying considering this person had a lot of videos of me being sexually abused and self-harming, along with a lot of other things that the perpetrator made me do that he could share to my family, my school. He knew where I lived. He would threaten me with those kinds of things. But yet again, my therapist did not report this victimization that I experienced to the police, which at the time I was very persistent of, please don't tell anyone, please don't go forward and tell the police, please don't tell my parents, all of these kinds of things that most victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse would say. However, that is not applicable when the person is a minor. I was only 15 years old, and instead of being able to go to the police, have a investigation started, and get this person to stop threatening young girls, my therapist did not report, and in doing that, she allowed my perpetrator to continue to hurt other people. And it is her job as a therapist to ensure that victimizations that are reported to her are then reported to authorities. That was extremely harmful to my healing journey, and prolonged the period of silence for me, as well as just all of this fear and shame and all of these other things, because she also didn't give me resources that gave me an indication that this was a very common experience that a lot of people have, which is just so unfortunate. But she didn't tell me about what sextortion was. She didn't tell me that this was something that happens or anything like that. So this was a very toxic therapist experience for me. She would gaslight me when I would be talking to her about experiences that I've had, and would interrupt me mid-conversation and would talk again about traumatizing things that other clients had experienced and discrediting my own experiences. I want everyone to know that you deserve to have a therapist who is very accommodating, is listening to you, is not interrupting you, is not experiencing burnout or compassion fatigue, and is able to be there for you because they have helped themselves in order to be a help to other people. And if you're not receiving that kind of help, then it is very much okay to look for another therapist, or to ask the office that you are in to assign you to another therapist, because there are such amazing therapists out there, and you deserve to be heard, and you deserve to get the type of counseling and therapy that will help you throughout your healing journey. But thank you so much for watching, and if you have your own toxic therapist story, you can feel free to comment that. Also, if you have any other video ideas that you would love for me to share, then please comment those as well. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.